So another year and another set of horror films. Moving on to 2021, starting off the year with Shadow in the Clouds, starring Chloe Grace Moretz, and she plays this young woman soldier who is tasked with transporting a secret government package. And she gets to this like bomber plane, and she tells them, "Look, you're supposed to take me." And they have to go like right then and there when she happens upon them. And of course, they've never seen a female soldier before. That's just not something that really happened in World War II. So of course, they're miffed by this, and they're like, "What the fuck? This is not possible." But they don't really have the time to argue with her, so they bring her aboard and they tell her to get down into this little gun turret. She says she can't be separated from her package because the thing is top secret, this and that. One of the guys aboard convinces her that he'll protect the package with his life, and she believes him. So she enters the gun turret and they fly off. And while they're flying, of course, all the men seem to think she is not only, up to something, it's that this is bullshit, but that she's a woman. So of course they haven't seen a woman in a while, so they're just going to talk about how much they want to fuck her and all this stuff. So they don't really respect her and they don't really believe her. So she's aboard a plane with a bunch of people who are very suspicious of her. And while she's down in the turret, she sees something on the wing reminiscent of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet with, the Twilight Zone episode with Captain Kirk. And this is a creature feature. There's a monster on the wing. But it's so much more than that. There's so much going on here. Now, I will say, I went on IMDb, which I don't know why I do this, but I'm just always curious on what the general consensus is right out the gate. And this movie is getting fucking hammered. Like, it has like a 4 point something, a 4.4 or something, and I just looked into the reviews and it was just like terrible, man-hating agenda, suspension of disbelief isn't even strong. You'd have to bring a king-size suspension of disbelief or whatever. And it's like, the whole man-hating issue, I don't see here. Like, yes, this is a very strong, female-empowered, she's badass kind of movie. And the men within it doubt her and are talking shit and are like, "Oh, I want to fuck her," and "Oh, look at that mouth," and all this stuff. This is, and when she hears this stuff, she hears it over the comms when she doesn't think that they're listening. Okay. This is 1,000% how guys would have acted with what they call a dame on board when they haven't seen a chick in forever. This is like 1940s guy banter. I mean, this is not far off of 2020s guy banter. In fact, we might even be worse. I don't know. But just listening to that stuff and her listening in on it, it's like, yeah, this is legit banter. They're talking about how much they want to fuck her mouth and all this stuff. 100% this is true. 100%. I don't see how this is man-hating. This is like focusing a spotlight on what men are really talking about when no one else is listening with their buddies. So the man-hating thing, I don't get this one. They don't trust her because of the situation, and they're horny men who think they're going to die at any moment, and a beautiful woman boards the plane. Of course they're going to talk about fucking her. This is ridiculous that this is thought of as a man-hating film. I think it's and it might be the action sequences where she's like tough and is doing things like the men aren't doing, but the men in this are pretty competent. It's just maybe the end scene where she kind of takes the reins a little bit more, but she's the titular character, or shouldn't say titular character, I'm sorry. She's the main character of the fucking film. So for me, she's gonna be the badass, and that's okay with me. she sells it well. I think Chloe's great in this movie. I had a fucking blast with this film. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I think that the music, let's just talk about that right up front. I think the music in this is phenomenal. Like fucking fantastic. Like when this film started, I'm not gonna lie here. Like the first maybe 15 minutes of this movie, I was like, oh my god, I think this is gonna be in my top 10 like of this year, and it's my first movie. It's day one. It's January 1st. Like the style, the music, the atmosphere, all that stuff was phenomenal. Like fucking fantastic. Like she's out on the runway. This plane comes down next to her. The music is pumping. It's like very 80s synth, freaking amazing. And then like she looks up and there's this like plane, and the way it's shot and the way it looks and the aesthetics of it and everything, I was like, Jesus, this movie's so cool looking. And then she had her interactions with people on board, and fucking Calvin Woolley, who's a favorite lesser known actor for me, is in the movie. He's not in it much, as he never is. But anyway, I just was like, this is so cool. And so now she goes down in that gun turret, and we probably spend 45 minutes with her in that thing, and we only ever see it. Only ever see anything from her perspective down in that thing. This is a very straightforward, like POV type of film with her. Now, I'm not saying we see him through her eyes, point of view. I just mean the point of view is focused specifically on her the entire film. This is her film. We do not really focus on almost any other character throughout the entire film. This is her experience with them being attacked by not only monsters, but by enemy airplanes as well. The action in this, I think, is really cool. Yes, the suspension of disbelief is very, very high. Very, very high. But I don't care. As long as it's presented in a super fun way, I'm fine with it. I don't feel like the film is grounded heavily in reality. It does to an extent, but the scenes where she's outside the plane and all of that stuff, I don't care. It's fun. It's tense. It's thrilling. And I'm on board for it. Pun intended, I suppose. But yeah, I feel like I feel like if she was a guy, I don't think people would have anywhere near as much issue with it. As much as like I don't like a man-hating agenda, and I just don't feel like this film has it. I just feel like people are really willing to look past a lot more when it's a guy. Like, I just was talking about this with, somebody who was like, oh, Rey's a Mary Sue from Star Wars. And I'm like, but Luke isn't? Like, what? How do you accept Luke in Star Wars and in Empire Strikes Back as this Jedi, especially Empire, and you're just like, wait, what? How do you get this? And then Rey is overpowered. It's like, I don't want to get too into that, but I can go on for it for a while. She's raised on a fucking, desert planet where she has to fight constantly for survival all the time. She trains with a staff. She beats the fuck out of everybody. Like, we see very well that she is not some like little girl that's plucked out of a situation and then is like, oh my god, I guess I need to learn how to fight. I'll just use the Force. That's not how it is. And I feel like that's, but I feel like if she was a guy, I just don't feel like that complaint would be launched. I just feel that way. Anyway, and same thing here. But I think Chloe's great. I think all of the people, even though, because it reminds me of like that Twilight Zone episode mixed with like the movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds, because we spent so much time in a very confined space and it's just her talking on a headset. And I love the style of the film. I feel like the film is very big and grand. Like, this feels like a big movie. Like, there's enemy warships outside flying by, and war planes, I guess. Ships would be the boats, right? But she's outside the plane, she's inside the plane, she's up here, things are going crazy all around her, explosions, and there's monsters coming at her, and the creature itself is, it's pretty cool. Kind of looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but I like it, man. I dug the shit out of this. I really had a great time. And I just feel like people are overthinking it and not just having fun. I don't get the issue with this movie. Maybe I'll be crazy here. Maybe this will be the film of the year that I'm always defending and everyone's hating on. That's fine. I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I would watch it again. I think it's a cool flick. Good style, amazing music, cool performances, unique storyline. You know, it's fun as fuck. It's more of action stuff than horror, but it has horror for sure, the monster and whatnot. Um, yeah, but yeah, suspension of disbelief. I mean, really brings some for sure, but it's fun. It's super fun. I don't get the issue. Oh well. Adios.